We're so excited to have Erica Kay from MACQUARIE Asset Management return to Hightower today to present everyday apps for extraordinary times. In this hybrid world that we're all living in, I don't know about you, but I am spending more time than ever online. And it seems like as businesses and services have shifted their focus from in-person to online and often fully digital experiences, the universe of apps that exist to help us navigate life has grown exponentially. So Erica, I'm so happy that you're back with us today to help us figure out how to find the ones that are truly worth your time. We'd like to make this as interactive as we can, so please use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen and we'll answer your questions either as they arise or at the end of the session, time permitting. Erica, I'm so excited to have you help us identify some critical apps that can add value to our lives. So take it away.
Thank you, Kirsten. And I'm so excited to be here with everybody. I know I'm on the East Coast, so this is a great way for me to spend my lunchtime, and hopefully a great way for you all to learn something on your Thursday. I know it's a rainy day here, I told everybody, but I am looking forward to this being the bright spot in your week. I'm going to share my screen so you all can see some slides that I have prepared. And with this presentation, one of the best things about it is that you can have a copy of it. So don't feel like you have to feverishly take notes through anything that we're talking about. And this is one thing that I can guarantee none of your teachers are ever saying to you, and that is feel free to pull up your phone. So whether that's iPhone, Android, tablet device, I want you to be looking down at this during the presentation and interacting with the content as we talk about it. So you have full permission to be on these devices as we talk. As Kirsten mentioned, my name is Erica Kay, and part of my role at MACQUARIE Asset Management really has been to create relevant educational content for financial advisors and enrichment programs for their clients, but folks like yourselves. For a few years now, we've given a talk called Leveraging Your Time with Technology, how we can use those devices that we're glued to day in and day out to help us find more time in our days and to really find more time to do the things that matter. However, in March of 2020, our world changed quite a bit, didn't it? We adapted our presentation specifically to address this unique time in our lives. So while technology is certainly something that we all live with, we may not have anticipated the reliance on technology that was created by our pandemic situation. Technology grew from an aid to our daily routines to a complete replacement for many of them. Our lives will never be the same moving forward. And that's not such a bad thing when it comes to finding efficiencies and new uses for tools you may have already been using. So today we'll discuss how technology can help keep you healthy and connected as we all navigate these extraordinary times. The focus today is on you. I hope that you leave this session with some recommendations on how technology can help you stay mentally and physically well, number one. Two, help you stay focused and connected with those around you. And three, help you truly be present for those important to you. Help you help others, specifically family, friends, and children. And I think, as I said earlier, we're going to have a little fun doing it. So grab those smartphones or tablets and we'll get started. It's often said that you cannot pour from an empty cup. So what does that mean? We've got to take care of ourselves a little bit first. And a key aspect of that is our own personal health and fitness. Physical activity can help keep you mentally strong. Making health and fitness a priority can give us the endurance and the stamina that we need to do all of the important things to us. It makes us a better version of ourselves. I know it's a way for me to clear my head and get myself going on those days that I don't feel like I want to get going. The big thing about health and fitness, and this word is synonymous anytime people talk about exercise or watching diets, is the word routine. Well, I know that the pandemic disrupted almost every aspect of what I knew as routine. And when one aspect of your routine gets thrown off, how easy is it to let every other aspect of that routine get thrown off? So we found that using technology to help keep us accountable is a way that we can get through that and navigate those times that we're in where the situations might not be ideal and our routines are changed. So I'm going to talk about one specific app on this slide. And as we go through the presentation, I want you to know two things, and I'll start this at the top. One, all of these apps have been used by myself and my colleagues at Macquarie. We're giving you the best of the best. And number two, all of them are available for free. So while there are paid versions available, you are able to reap the benefits of many of these apps that I'll cover just from accessing them at their basic as is download level. So good to remember. I'll talk here about MindBody. So some of you may be using this, as many salons, gyms, fitness centers use this as their primary way to book classes. Now that we're in this world where group fitness has been taken virtual, you now have virtual class options that are presented to you within your existing class booking system. So if you were a client, at a yoga studio where you would use this app to book an in-person class before, you're now able to use it to book a class virtually if the studio is offering that. Doesn't even matter if the studio is in your area. MindBody is a national app, and it can help you find what you're looking for in terms of a workout or a personal service in whatever zip code you're in. So by adding that zip code in, it can help you find local reputable businesses that are close to you, and you can engage either via their online platform or in person, whatever makes you most comfortable. So it's a fantastic app kind of when you don't know where to go. And there's no commitment involved. You can sign up for many of these classes as a free one-time class, or pay as you go when you want to use it. So I know there are a ton of other workout services that are available via app. I am embarrassed to admit my family has become a part of the Peloton culture, which I'm sure you've all heard of. But that requires a monthly fee. What's really nice about MindBody is it's sort of a pay as you go and an engage how you wish type app. So really a fantastic recommendation here. There are several others that are like this. I mentioned Peloton. Another one is Nike Training and Playbook, as you see on the slide here. These are all apps that are out there that connect you with reputable fitness professionals that can help keep you accountable. Because I find that's the real challenge of staying in my routine, is the accountability. I can't just pick up and go for a run. And I need either a class-like setting or an instructor in my pocket guiding me along the way, so that I don't just throw in the towel and go upstairs and get a cup of coffee in the middle of a workout. So again, technology really can help be there for you, help keep you accountable, and help you stick to your routines. The other side of health is that mental health aspect. And I think that this is the aspect that has severely been challenged, over the past 2 years. Certainly many of us have had personal or tangential experience to those, suffering from being sick or having difficult healthcare situations. But we shouldn't forget about the mental aspect of all of this. The title of this slide here are apps under a category that I call mindfulness and meditation. And I am very conscious of the fact that those two words can be extremely intimidating. What does mindfulness mean? Meditation, that's just not something that's for me. But according to the National Sciences Foundation, just this year, a person has 50,000 thoughts per day. So just think about that. I don't know about you, but I'm overwhelmed hearing that statistic of 50,000 thoughts per day. think if you're a mother of young children like I am, it's probably triple that. And meditation is a practice that can help us unplug and be present. It may also help you reduce stress, may help you reduce anxiety, and get a better night's sleep, this study found. Dealing with a global pandemic and disruptions to our routine, as I mentioned, I think that in addition to the normal flow of our fast-paced lives these days is certainly enough for most of us to need a recentering moment. So I'm going to talk about two apps on this slide. The first one is daily yoga. So meditation and mindfulness, I think, can take many forms. I mentioned that personally, I'm pretty active. And the way that I find my space to be present and to be mindful is through a moving meditation like yoga. I can find ways to connect with my breath and find a length of time and level of difficulty that works for me on a given day by using daily yoga. It's fantastic for beginners. It's fantastic for those who are more experienced and more advanced in their practice. But sometimes being able to bring a physical connection to the mind is the way we can really unplug and relax. By doing something, by focusing on something else, focusing on that movement is the way we unplug from those 50,000 other thoughts. The other app here, which you all may have heard of, is the Calm app. So I've used this once or twice, but my husband is actually a user of this app. And the way he became a user was that his company last year saw that there was a gap in their workforce. They were detecting burnout. They were detecting high levels of stress from meeting after meeting after meeting. They actually went and reached out to Calm and bought a corporate subscription to the app and gave it to their employees as a benefit, saying, we know that we're not able to be together and we need a way to make sure that we're caring for all parts of you in a virtual environment. So we really encourage you to take advantage of a premium subscription to Calm. And here's some tools to learn how to use it a little bit better, which I thought was fantastic. That being said, Calm is available for free. You may have started seeing their advertisements. I always say, you know, my next job should be going to work for marketing for Calm, because they had outstanding product placement on CNN last year as election results were coming in. I said, you know, whoever got that ad space deserves a promotion. But it is very, very much a mainstream thing right now. And I think that that's important. I'm not sure that it was pre-pandemic. So to have this conversation about taking care of yourself, both mind and body, is something that I know I hope keeps going in our culture right now. One of the other things I mentioned was disruption to routine. I think I probably say it 6 or 7 times throughout this presentation, because it's a primary way that many of our lives were changed by the pandemic, and technology is such a part of our everyday. It only seems to make sense to turn to it to help us solve for our everyday challenges. On this slide here, you see some apps that are really, really helpful for personal productivity. I don't like to tell people this. If you haven't already been able to tell, I'm a very type A personality. So having some semblance of control over my day, no matter what that is really helpful for me. And it helps me be present for myself and those around me if I'm able to control certain aspects of my routine or just business management of my personal life. You know, regardless if you are still working or you're retired, there are things that just need to get done. And I find that these apps are extremely helpful to do so. The one that I will talk about here is the Cozy Family Calendar. So Cozy is an app that's, you know, not rocket science. It's a digital calendar, but I think it's a little bit easier to use than some of the other calendar apps that I've tried. Another thing that I appreciate about it is that it plugs into my Microsoft Outlook calendar, so that I actually do have one view of my work schedule and my at-home schedule. We've got the whiteboard calendar down in my mudroom, but we can only fit 1 month at a time on there. And we can't get into specifics about detail on who needs to be where when. That's where Cozy is really a fantastic tool. You can manage it from your smartphone, and it automatically updates to the cloud, so that when I need to cross-reference a work commitment with picking my daughter up from ballet, I can see those two calendars as shared calendars right in front of me. It makes me question how I manage to show up anywhere on time before I use this app. So highly recommend giving Cozy a shot. There's some other fantastic apps in here too that can really help you simplify everything from daily tasks like TaskRabbit, or one of my favorite things is being able to simplify expenses with Splitwise. It's a really great way to solve for IOUs amongst friends. So I encourage you to definitely check those out in your spare time. We've talked a little bit about staying well for ourselves and doing those things that we need to do to get through the day. But a critical aspect, I think, of especially the past 2 years has been our inability to stay in touch in the ways that we may want to or that we're used to. I think communication has been everything in a time where we haven't been able to be physically with each other as much as we would like to. So, throughout the year, I've said, don't let social distancing keep you from being antisocial. So on this slide, you see some apps that may help you stay in touch, whether we need to physically distance from each other or we find ourselves in that situation, whether we have loved ones who live in different cities, states, or countries, kids or grandchildren away at college. We've all gotten so much more familiar with these virtual meeting tools. And I think it's just something fantastic to take with us, to have the flexibility of virtual communication options just in our normal routines and our normal mix of staying in touch with folks. So the app I will specifically highlight here is one that I have used in my family, and it's called Caribou. So Caribou, it used to actually have a cute little caribou animal logo on it. They've recently upgraded their interface, but it was developed specifically to help children stay in touch with their grandparents who might not live near them. Through the Caribou app, which actually works over a Wi-Fi connection, just like FaceTime or Skype, you can virtually read a story to your grandchildren or even play a game of tic-tac-toe with them in real time. Your child can choose a story and actually turn the page for you as he or she sees you reading it. You can also choose coloring book pages and collaborate on the same coloring page using your iPhones or tablet Android devices. After using this, I'd heard about this app. We immediately started using it in 2020. My daughter was 3.5 at the time and was not going to school every day. We had a 7-month-old infant at home and 2 full-time jobs in about 900 square feet with a dog. So you can imagine what our life was like for a little bit there in 2020. I desperately was looking for anything that could help engage my daughter during the day when I was in a situation where I couldn't. And after reading about this app, I got my mother-in-law, who was spending the winter in Florida, to download this app. And every day at 9:30 in the morning, my daughter had a reading with grandma via the Caribou app. And we went through the whole library of every Barbie book, every Thomas the Tank Engine book. We colored every unicorn and every rainbow that we could find in the app. And there were still more things that we couldn't get to. So it was a complete lifesaver, not only for me as a parent, but also for a young girl who really missed her grandma, and a grandma who really was a little bit nervous about the next time she'd be able to come home and see her grandchildren. So so it was really one that we have a personal connection with. Super appropriate for, I would say, children around the ages of 2, 3, probably up to the age of 10, when children can be a little bit more self-sufficient reading on their own. So that's a really, that story is an appropriate segue as we go into talking about a series of apps here that can help certain individuals in your life. So we know that we take care of ourselves and we do what we need to do for us. How can we pay that forward and really give to others and help to be present for others in our lives? So I'm going to go through a couple sections here where we talk about specific apps for those groups of VIPs in your life who may not be using technology, in the most efficient way that they may be able to. So a little bit of education for you here. So first, we have found that in just in our social circle at the office, and those of us who work on this presentation and deliver it pretty frequently, that some of the apps that we use regularly are game changers for folks who cannot do some of these basic things for themselves. A coworker of mine said, "Oh, well, have you ever thought of, getting, an aging relative on Uber so that he or she can get to their doctor's appointments on time?" And I sort of just scratched my head and said, why would I not have done that? But it was not something that immediately occurred to me. And I think you'll find many of these examples with some of the apps that you see on this slide here. Technology can really be a benefit for those who you may have some caretaking responsibilities for. It can help assist you in doing that. So I mentioned Uber already. I think that's a pretty popular ride sharing app that is widely available to folks. Instacart is an app that I use every other week. I think the pandemic reduced my amount of time going to a grocery store, but now I've found that the convenience in my life of being able to do shopping, all kinds of shopping via an app, has been extremely helpful. It also has just improved in quality so much. I know people have expressed hesitation to me before about doing grocery shopping online, but the high quality of people that are working for these companies now as a part of this gig job culture we have has just really improved the game. It's made the game more competitive. So everyone's being challenged to deliver the highest quality of result. And I think you can really start to trust some of these apps now to be replacements for your routine, different parts of your routine. So whether it's getting to where you need to go or getting groceries, really, I would encourage you to take a look at some of these apps for those tech savvy seniors in your lives that just may need an extra helping hand when you might not be able to be there for them. We'll transition to talk about learning for adults. So I know that technology can be enabling for all ages, and this is a conversation I recently had with my parents, and they both recently retired. And I know that especially my dad had worked his whole life so that he could achieve the highest status he could achieve on United, so that he could go business class anywhere he wanted to go, in perpetuity. And he wanted to start hitting some of those bucket list items, and the pandemic arrived. And I think, my parents' dreams of a retirement on the road had to pivot a little bit, and their schedules really opened up. So, time that would be spent on an airplane or on a trip or seeing friends or even coming to see us was suddenly open on their schedule. I think on the other hand, you've also got folks that have active lifestyles, maybe not even at retirement age, who learn things by going to museums or taking classes, all types of things, going to a book club to better yourself. We almost over the past 2 years had to figure out ways to pivot from doing them in groups or pivot from doing them in person. So how have we relied on technology to help us stay mentally stimulated and engaged and find an alternative to Netflix on any given night or weekend. So the app that I'll talk about here is Goodreads. And this has really been a favorite of mine and my friends, because I know that I'm intimidated going into a bookstore or looking on Amazon.com. And I think even in today's highly digital world, books are still some of the best ways to learn about almost anything that you can think of. But, that intimidation factor is a problem. There are a zillion different books on a zillion different subjects out there. And some of them, are going to be better than others. So that's where Goodreads comes in. With over 40 million members, Goodreads is basically the social media of books. Their mission is to get the right book in the right hands at the right time. So whether that's fiction, nonfiction, or self-help, the Goodreads app can probably point you toward the perfect book to help you engage with, something that you want to learn or just an escape for the afternoon. Once you start to interact with Goodreads, you can share the books that you've recently read with other users. You'll see what other users have read. And based on what you've read and other users have read, you'll be served up personalized recommendations from people you quote unquote can trust because of other things that they've been interested in. So it's really more interactive than just reading an online review, and it kind of can simulate that library-like experience for all of you. So I highly recommend using that as a way to engage with books during this time. The next area of folks in your life that some of you may have daily, hourly interaction with are teenagers. I'm a little afraid for that time in my life right now. So we'll be having this webinar in about 10 years and it can go the other direction. All of you can talk to me about the life of teens. However, I think while most of us can be a little bit frustrated with this generation who has not grown up knowing life without an iPhone, let's be real. We need to meet young adults where they are, and where they are is on their technology. Virtual learning over the past 2 years was hard, but I think it can be made a little bit easier if it's fun. And many of these apps can reinforce learning concepts in a way that connects with young adults in your life. So the one app that I'm going to talk about, actually, I'm going to talk about two here because I can't not mention Interactive Constitution. So for those of you who don't know, Delaware Funds by Macquarie Asset Management is based in Philadelphia, as am I. Our offices are directly across from the Liberty Bell Pavilion and the National Constitution Center. The National Constitution Center developed the Interactive Constitution app, which is a completely nonpartisan resource meant to bring the Constitution to life for those who are interested in it or those who are in a position where they have to study it. It has been used as an official study resource for the AP US History and AP US Government courses. So if you do have teenagers in your lives who are preparing for AP exams coming up in the spring, this could be a fantastic fun resource for them as they get ready for their database questions and all of those wonderful things from advanced placement tests. The other app that I will talk about here is Rooster Money. And working for an asset manager, I would be completely remiss if I didn't call this one out. But what excites me is that Rooster Money is one of many apps out there now that introduce the concept of budgeting and saving to children at an extremely young age. And I just think that finance is such a part of our lives, whether you work in finance or not, that the earlier you can start to understand the value of money, the importance of saving, and the importance of making responsible choices around your income, the better. So Rooster Money is a completely virtual allowance manager, and it also can function as a chore chart, savings tracker, and virtual piggy bank. especially now where, kids may be at home a little bit more frequently if they're not in as many activities or still continuing virtual school in some instances. um, Between balancing schoolwork and beating boredom, this app can be used as a motivator to get them to help with some chores around the house, which is never a bad thing. The other cool aspect of this app is that there's no real money involved. So it's actually doesn't tie to a bank account. There are some other fantastic apps out there that do tie to bank accounts, and I'd be happy to give you more information on those as well. But this one more works like a point system. So you can set goals, or your child can set goals, and you, as the parent or grandparent, guardian, can give them credit toward their goals from your instance of the app. So, again, really fun, really interactive, and teaching young folks something on their phone where they already are. I think it's a home run in this day and age. The last group of people that we'll talk about briefly are just the little ones. I know I struggle with screen time, or the pressure to regulate screen time, and just all of this drama around screen time for my children, who are 4.5 and 2. I think so much of their learning is centered on play that it just seems irresponsible to put them in front of a screen. But I think it's hard not to acknowledge that a television or an iPad honestly can be an easy distraction, but also a really powerful tool for kids. I can tell you that both of my children were swiping on my iPhone before they were 18 months old. So what does that tell you about ease of use of technology and their ability to engage with it from such a young age? We might as well try to give them something useful. So how can we find those useful, reputable apps that we know are going to do something constructive for kids? So there are some really wonderful ones that are out there. The one that I have the most experience with is ABC Mouse. So ABC Mouse is really appropriate for the preschool age, and the app gamifies concepts such as counting, colors, letters, very basic things that are completely age appropriate. You have the ability to enter that in when you download the app, and it'll turn it into a puzzle or a treasure map or something that will engage the child to start connecting the concept with the game. And not only is ABC Mouse something fun and easy for parents to use, this is something that teachers are the authors of, and it's actually used nationally in libraries across the country. So this is a vetted resource that folks who are experts in this type of early childhood education have vetted for you. So highly encouraged to check it out. I think I would be remiss if I went through this presentation where the last 2 slides focused on children, but not just children. You want to think about children, teens, and even sometimes ourselves. We want to think about how we monitor technology. It can be abused as easily as it's used. And with the increase in screen time we're all experiencing, it's now more important than ever to be aware of what those young ones, especially in your lives, are doing online. So there are some apps on here. Some of them you may be familiar with, and some of them you may not be familiar with. So I think 2 things to really call out here. TikTok and Snapchat, you may have heard of before. They're very popular with young adults and even adults now. TikTok videos are a way that you can learn things, and Snapchat can be a fun way to share photos with your friends. But with anything that is public or considered social media, we have to understand privacy filters. You have to understand what kind of content you're putting out there, and you have to understand who's seeing that content. I was reading a story about how there are experts, quote unquote, on TikTok who are trying to teach young teenagers how to bleach their teeth. And to me, that just doesn't sound like something I want to learn on TikTok. I'd probably rather talk to my dentist about that. So I know that that's like a common sense example, but we can't take for granted that this does need reinforcement. And I think it warrants an open and transparent conversation. You don't want to think this way, but you see an app here that looks like a calculator, but it's got a little hashtag on the end. This is just one of about 10 apps out there. So I know that if you take your iPhone and look on the Apple App Store and type in calculator hashtag, about 10 apps come up. They're all around picture, screenshot, and information hiding on your phone. Again, not things that we want to think about, but things we should be aware of. You might not think twice if you see a calculator on your granddaughter's iPad, but if it has that little hashtag next to it, maybe that's something that might raise the red flag and you might want to be aware of. So just calling that out just for good reminders of safety and security online. And that's a nice segue into family security. With anything, I think beyond having a transparent discussion with those who you have caretaking responsibilities for, and with your spouse or those close to you, there are apps that can help with home and personal security, as well as to manage a child's online time safely. Many of these apps that you see here have been referred to us by cybersecurity and identity theft prevention expert Jeff Lanza. Jeff is a former FBI agent whom we work with to help provide education to financial advisors and their clients on what they need to know about preventing cybercrime and identity theft. So Jeff is certainly a trusted resource and an expert in his field, and we were excited that he shared some of these with us. The one app to call out here really is 1Password. It's the most basic, but it also is the easiest. I know that passwords are the thing that I don't focus on. I am completely guilty, if we've got any hackers out there, of using the same password for basically everything. And why is that? Well, I don't have the capacity to remember more than those. And I get frustrated when I store passwords or suggested strong passwords that my phone gives me, because then I can't remember them if I go to use them online. So I'm guilty of this. But a lot of identity theft and a lot of cybercrime can actually happen by knowing passwords. So I'm not so concerned about my bank app being hacked, but I am concerned that potentially somebody could get into my Target online account and get pretty scary level of information through my Target online account. So it's just that reminder that good habits are actually easier than you think. And we just have to make sure that they are that, habits, changing passwords and keeping them secure. So 1Password has been a game changer. It allows you to create a strong, unique password for all of your online accounts. And you can also share 1Password with a spouse or a child in your household. So it has a secure sharing function so that, if my husband needs access to an account that I own the password for, he's able to do that in an easy and secure way. So great game-changing app there. The other one that I'll call out here too is the CDC Yellow Book. So this is a relative new addition here. But hopefully as we do start to get out there and travel more and do more normal things, the CDC Yellow Book app provides up-to-date information regarding travel during the pandemic. So I think that this is essential to keep yourself and your family safe. The last slide that I will cover today, and I hope that you all have some questions ready, is the obvious just for fun slide. So we have a couple of favorite apps amongst our team and things that we use really for no other reason than fun. One of my colleagues is actually a sommelier on the side, and one of his favorite apps is Vivino, which he uses to keep track of all the fabulous wines he has when he's out to dinner or someplace where he might not have a pen and paper. He can just take a picture of the bottle and it goes through Vivino's database and it finds the wine and it tracks it for you. You're able to write down what you thought of it. You're able to see what others gave it, and you can find a local store near you for what it costs on average. So that's really helpful. I know I'm always guilty of ordering a glass of something and then I forget what it was and I can't go buy it later. Another awesome app on here is the Let Go app. So it's online marketplacing. We use the Let Go app, 5 or 6 times when we moved, and it's a very safe, secure way to list things for folks in your neighborhood. Some folks use the Nextdoor app for the same thing. You may be familiar with that. But if you're looking to get rid of some furniture, clean up that house that you've spent so much time in over the past year, this is a really quick and easy and secure way to do it. So again, I encourage you to check out all of the apps on this slide. Happy Cow, I know, has been a game changer for my colleague who is a vegan. Happy Cow actually helps her find restaurants in her area that cater to her specific dietary needs. So there is something out there for everyone. And I hope that you found this presentation to be informative and fun. And really, my only call to action at the end of this is be well, take care of yourselves so that you're able to be that resource we know that you are for everyone else in your life. So I'll turn it back over to you, Kirsten, with that.
This was spectacular. You curated an amazing list of apps, some of which I had never heard of. So I was literally frantically taking notes, and I know you told us not to do that, not worry about it, but for sure I want to download some. I love the fact that there were, things for all different age groups and different generations. So I know, for example, my kids are constantly on their phones. My parents are constantly on their iPads, where I'm stuck in between the two. So I really appreciated that. A couple questions for you. One is, I know these were all free apps. Do any of them, do we have to be aware of like in-app purchase potential, like for younger kids or younger users that may be downloading them?
Yeah, I mean, I would say yes for some of the more adult focused ones. Some of the more kid focused ones are more locked down.
Okay, good.
ABC Mouse does have an upgrade option, but I believe it's a multi-factor authentication. So you can't purchase directly from the app. It sends an email to the parent and forces you to take a second action, which is great. Also, you may have noticed this, but when you go to download an app from your device's app store, there is a pretty clear warning these days now that say allows in-app purchases.
Right.
And it flags it for you before you even download it. So you know, okay, hey, this is the one I probably want to bury on page 2 where my daughter won't find it. But here we are. So
amazing. And then one last cheeky question that we got, since you did such a great job of sort of introducing us to this universe, what do you have on your home screen?
Oh, I'm going to pull it up right now. I'm getting an AccuWeather update. You can see here, it's a little glary. AccuWeather update because it is storming where I am in Pennsylvania right now. And then I'm getting Instagram updates. And I will say that is probably my most used app. I am beyond Twitter. Like 70 characters is too much for me. I just need to see the picture. Give me the picture. That's how I get my news. I also have Instagram. I have WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is a messenger feature that we started using with international friends. It's actually what I used with my husband when he used to live in the UK. But now it's a great cross-platform messaging service to use. So I use that. And then it's really just the basics, the clock, the camera, the photos, the wallet, which is really important because that's got the Whole Foods, the Starbucks, and the Instacart apps. And then my last section here, which is my kiddo app, which I know this is terrible, you can't see it, but it's got the app that my daughter's daycare actually uses to communicate with us the whole day. So that is number one right up there.
Yeah, of course. Well, that was wonderful. Thank you so much, Erica, for joining us today and walking us through all of these phenomenal apps. And hopefully, paradoxically, by using some of these, we'll create more time and space in our day to connect with each other in real life too. So
Couldn't have
great.
said it better myself. Thank you so much, Kirsten.
Thanks everybody for tuning in.